Today, in the media conference with Lal Goel, which is brought to you by V4 News, V4 Stream, Karu News, Bharat Post News, Malnadu TV India, News Gaon Se, Samvad Sarokar News, Organ Donation India Foundation, Gyan, and Indo-Gulf Management Association. Our endeavor is to enlighten you with the current topic, and today's topic is not only current but very, very relevant. The topic is employees as customers. Most companies now understand that customers demand service that is personalized, convenient, and efficient, and that ignoring those expectations impels the bottom line. However, while focusing on the needs of external customers makes sound business sense, creating a rich employee experience can be just as important to a company's long-term success. Customers spread the word about your company's great products or services. Employees also do the same. Plus, they can serve as a recruitment advocates, spreading the word about your company as a great place to work. Customers expect to have personalized interactions with your company. And to discuss this very, very important topic, employees as customers, we have a very elite, knowledgeable, experienced panelists are with us. And I would like to introduce my first panelist guest. He is Professor Mohanlal Agrawal. Professor Mohanlal Agrawal is the former Professor of Marketing, Innovation and Management, IIM Lucknow, XLRI Jamshedpur, and California State University, USA. He is president of Indo-Gulf Management Association. He is US Fulbright Fellow Boston, EFMD Fellow Paris, and British Council Fellow London. In 2019, he was ranked among the 251 most fabulous global education leaders. Welcome, Professor Mohanlal Agrawal on our show. Professor Mohanlal Agrawal, as you are a former professor and still you are involved in marketing, innovation, and management, and you are seeing how new techniques are being generated, innovated for the marketing, capturing the market. But this phenomena of employees as customers, which is picking up now very fast, we would like to know your views. Employees as customers. Professor Mohanlal Agrawal, please.
Thank you, Mr. Goel. Thank you for taking such a thought-provoking topic today, which is employees as customers. I remember my first experience with this topic as a consultant, as a trainer, as a facilitator, almost 30 years ago, when at Jamshedpur, XLRI Jamshedpur, where I was teaching, Tata Motors, at that time, we called it Telco, or Tata Motors at that time, they asked me that if I could do something as a workshop, as a training program for their employees on this topic, employees as customers. Now that was very intriguing at that time because Tata Motors or Telco was known for customer orientation, and that too to some extent a poor customer orientation, because they were in a monopoly market and not many people cared what they did, and they also didn't care too much for what customers did, because their trucks, which was the mainstay of Jamshedpur plant, was almost like a monopoly item, a monopoly place to work, and so they didn't care too much about that. They admitted so also. We talked about a number of things as to what changes have they brought and with what frequency and force they brought those changes to satisfy, delight, or connect with the customers. And the scorecard of Tata Motors wasn't very, very great or something to write home about. But it was that. And then I thought that why are they therefore asking me to take up this topic of employees as customers? Still, so I had a discussion with the training department and all, and they gave me one wonderful reason. And they said is that we are seeing the teamwork within the company as employee relationship less and customer relationship more. What does it mean? They said that we have got several departments in which sequentially the product is made. One product taken by one particular department is actually produced by the previous department. And so their output, their outcome, their value addition will depend upon how well, how promptly, and how wonderfully the product was made by the previous department or section or something. Like in a kind, kind of there is a paint shop, then there is an assembly line process, then there is also what we call post-production checks, then so many other things which before the truck is out. At that time, we used to bring out more chassis rather than the body of the truck, because the body of the truck was made somewhere else. But this particular thing was done in Jamshedpur, lot more, which is called the bare minimum of that thing. That was their objective in terms of employees as customers. They thought that this is the best way to talk about it. So they were seeing it more as a productivity tool and more as another name for working together, as perhaps is seen in Japanese manufacturing culture. Now that was a very interesting angle, and I researched on it, and thereafter I'm very happy to say that we did a lot of research and produced a series of interventions for the people in both Pune plant, in Jamshedpur plant, and in many other plants. Now the same thing became useful later on when Air India now, but at that particular time, Indian Airlines asked me to design the similar intervention for them, which was somewhere in the late 90s and beginning of when organizations like Jet Airways, Sahara, East West Airline, all those kind of airlines were emerging, and Tata Steel, Tata and Indian Airlines was facing a lot more competition on their once 100% market share to the market share. They were sharing their space, both screen space as well as market space with customers. Now, there was some connection between the two, although one was the paragon of private sector and the other one was a very, very bad reminder of a public sector organization at that particular time. In one case, it was profitable. In the second case, it was not profitable. In the first case, it was answerable to the shareholders. In the second case, they were answerable to who they themselves didn't know, whether it is the taxpayers or the board of the Indian Airlines or the ministry or the secretary of the ministry. We don't know. We don't want to go into that who is responsible, who is not in the different sector. But there was a difference. And in spite of that, there was a kind of commonness. And that commonness was employees as customers. So again, we designed a lot of things, and I thought I also asked them that what is the mission behind doing all these things which you are doing, and they told me that in our case, employee welfare, employee wellness is one of the major key performance areas. Now look at that the thing is being done, but with a different purpose, with a different objective. In the first case, it is an economic activity. In the second case, it is good behavior as an employer. Or as you just now mentioned, the best place to work. And that perhaps was one of the things behind it. So that part is clear. About a month ago, I was researching through various aspects of the global consulting firm McKinsey, and I saw that couple of articles which they had written about this itself, that is employee as customers. And their goal was again different. And this goal was different in the context of the global pandemic that we had, which is the COVID. And they said that it is becoming very, very evident that the workplace is changing. The workplace is no longer the workplace, but workplace is the place where people work. Now, that place may not be necessarily provided by the company. It could be provided by people at home. So therefore, people are working from home, and therefore that is also a workplace. Although not in the control of the employer, but employer work is being done from the place of the employee, could be on the move, could be within the home, or could be in the family home, or whatever. That was number 1 point. Number 2 point they said was that empathy, which became a critical factor of relationships these days. Empathy, not necessarily efficiency, which Tata Motors had, not necessarily the wellness of the employees as a part of community stakeholders, as in the case of the Air India. But in this particular case, it became a global need of the people, that people wanted to have empathy, wanted to be treated with empathy from others, and as a result, this empathy became the central theme of relationship, both at work as well as at home. They were saying that people are suffering a lot inside as well as outside. COVID affects internally as well as externally. COVID affects you as well as the people around you. COVID affects others, and that affects you. The interrelationships of the emotions, what a wonderful term they used, that interrelationships of emotions became the key factor in relationship between employees and employees, and employees and employer, as well as employees and customers. Why? Because the customers also in many cases were working at home, and employees anyway are working from home for a year, 2 years and all. Many people now are finding it very, very difficult to transit this workplace from work from home to work from workplace. And it is going to become a major challenge now, that how to recalibrate the concept of work, the concept of workplace, the concept of worker, and the concept of worker-worker relationships. So all those particular things became critical because of the new factor, and that new factor was COVID, or this pandemic. So I just took you through this journey in order to emphasize that concept has to change in its ramifications, even though fundamentally still the same, as you correctly said, that a customer is one who has aspirations, expectations, needs, wants, etc. And in order to have those things, that customer pays to the marketer through primarily through private monetary means, and then those from monetary means become the very, very fundamental expectation that you please satisfy me. But in the case of internal customer, there is no monetary relationship. There is nothing as important for the for the organization to satisfy the internal customers. Take it or leave it. If you are dissatisfied, there are wonderful explanations from the organization for that, that a person is unhappy because he's fundamentally poor attitude person. The person is unhappy, maybe there are some things which are at home, that's why they are working those things. In other words, organizations had a litany of explanations, a litany of excuses in order to absolve them from this fantastic requirement that employees should be treated with the same attention, with the same respect as external people should be. This was the basis, and that's where I thought that I should take up this as a topic, and let's see that how my colleagues react to that, contribute to that, so that it becomes a topic easy to understand, easier to digest, and easiest to apply. That was the goal in my mind when I talked about employees as customers. In any case, what is this particular thing? This particular thing is based on the same logical sequence. Number one, identify who is your customer. In this particular case, identify who is your internal customer. Number two, in the case of the customers, identify the known and unknown needs and wants and demands of the customers. In the case of the internal customer, perhaps it is almost the same thing, in which they are trying to say that we should also identify needs, wants, and expectations of employees, even though they have no choice. Remember the major difference between external customer and internal customer. The major difference between external customer and internal customer is that there are three rights on which these people differ from each other significantly. It is called, well, voice, it is called choice, and it is called exit. In the case of choice, customers have an exit, employees do not have. Number two, in the case of the customers have voice. Internal customers or employees do not have that voice. Number three, the customers will very easily walk away from you to someone else, and that particular thing may not be so in the case of the employment market. So all the three rights, choice, voice, and exit, all three of them are denied to the employees, or if not denied, at least they are very, very weak in terms of their strength, in terms of their application. It is more theoretical rather than practical. While in the case of the customer, he will walk away from you, will walk away from physical stores to e-stores, from one e-store to another e-store, dealing with several e-stores at the same time, using the power of mobile phone or internet or something else. So as a result, how do we give the same rights? And that's the crux of the thing. How do we give the same rights, choice, voice, and exit to the employees as customers also? That part hasn't been very much clarified so far. Why? Because it requires courage, it requires culture, and it requires very, very internal communication philosophy that, hey, I want to give these rights to my customers. And who are these customers? My own employees. That is why things have become more important, and that's why there are now these days awards, or even the designations, or even like ISO certification. There is also a certification, the great place to work. The same way like you used to flaunt to the customers that we are ISO certified company, we also say, or at least those organizations say, that in fact, 2 years ago, I was one of the keynote speakers for Economic Times in Mumbai, and which was organized by the Great Place to Work organization, which was giving awards to various organizations like Birla's, Tata's, Reliance, so many. And I was, there as the invited speaker for the Economic Times editor. So what happened there? This was the thing happened there, that they were flaunting it as a badge of honor, that our employees are also very, very happy with us, and they're giving us grades like the best place to work for, which is equal to as you get the rewards in terms of customer satisfaction, customer delight, or this and that. So here is the point, how do we deal with? And the question which I asked, that how do we provide these three things, which requires new guts, new courage, and new thinking. So possibly there is a one solution which was provided again by a research study in Harvard. And what was that study? They created what they called people service profit chain. People service profit chain. So what they said here is, in a very simple way, what they said is that let's begin from the top. The top is profit. The top is profitability. The top is growth. The top is brand name. The top is market share. These are the things which you are looking at. They said, how do you get these things? You get these things from the satisfied customers. So that became the chain, profit chain. So the second person is customer. Now, what makes these customers give it to you? Because they are satisfied. Fair enough. Now, then the third point came, what makes these customers happy? And they said it is the satisfied and happy employees. So we came to the third chain of the or link of the chain, that top, then customers, then employees, and then they said, okay, now let's say, what do we do in order to make these employees happy? And this is where this customer orientation or internal customer orientation concepts like came into picture. Now that is how this service profit chain provided by one professor of services, his name is Jim Haskett and others, they brought this particular thing along with other researchers at Harvard. And now this is one possible outcome, that we look at this particular thing as a chain and try to uh, implement it rather than just talk about it in a wonderful fancy way. Talking fancy and doing fancy could be two different things. So this is where one important perhaps solution open to us. So anyway, I just want to thank you because I thought, let me first clarify what is internal customer, what is employee customer, what are their limitations, how different they are from the external customer, what is this choice, voice, and exit rights, and then how do we handle them to reach a point where we can say we did it, not just that we discussed it. So this is where I want to take. I want to thank you for this opportunity to talk about it. A little bit longer I took, but I just thought, let
Thank
me lay out the
Thank you very
background.
much,
Thank you very much.
Professor Mohanlal Agrawal, for giving your views. Choice, voice, and exit. He mentioned very clearly that this is a option with the customers, not with the employees. But what companies are doing, they are obtaining the certificates for the best workplace. They are providing all the facilities to their employees so that if your employees are happy, then the customers will be happy, because as per the research in Harvard, according to Professor Dr. Mohanlal Agrawal, and he says that this is the time when the companies have to think very seriously to make their employees happy, and especially when the work from home was going on, how many companies, and he's right, because I have also seen, and I have also I know about that, how the companies are providing everything at home which is required, like a table, work station, etc. Companies are providing, because they feel that if you are not having those things at your home, you will not be able to give that output which the company requires. And if you are not satisfied, you will be not, the customers will not be satisfied. So one has to create that atmosphere. So according to Professor Dr. Mohanlal Agrawal, the employees has to be given all those things so that they can keep the customers happy. So treat employees as customers, then only you can, because we always think that customers are the king or the emperor. Now the time has changed when we have to think about the employees also. Thank you very much, Professor Mohanlal Agrawal, for giving your views. Now, I would like to invite my next panelist guest, and he is Dr. C.B. Venkat Krishna Prasad. Dr. Prasad is the professor in management studies, Dayanand Sagar Institutions, Bangalore. Dr. Prasad is a faculty member in the marketing and entrepreneurship area. He has 19 years of combined experience in corporate, academic, and research. He is acting as marketing consultant for few startups. He contributed more than 25 research papers in for several renowned national and international journals and books. He presented papers in various national and international conferences and forums. Welcome, Dr. C.B. Venkat Krishna Prasad on our show. Dr. Prasad, you have heard what Professor Mohanlal Agrawal has mentioned. And he's very clear because being a person of marketing and innovation, and he has giving his talks to the many top organizations in India, that if we will not change our view for the employees and we will not treat them as a customer, then the customer satisfaction which we expect, the companies expect, will not be up to that mark. Now, we would like to know from you, because you are also a professor in management studies and you have worked in the corporate and academic research. Now, we would like to know your views on employees as customers. Dr. C.B. Venkat Krishna Prasad, please.
Yes, so good morning to everyone. So I thank Professor Mohan Agarwal for bringing up examples like Tata Motors or Air India into this particular aspects. And as well as he's talking about three important keywords, right? Choice, voice, and action, right? So whereas employees don't have these three. So I'm going to little bit take you to the theory aspects of the treating employees as customers, right? So first, if you look at the example, right, or of Tata Motors or Air India, the objectives are different, right? So for Tata Motors or for Air India, the objectives or motors are different, right? So now I'm going to give you a different angle to it. If you look at service marketing triangle, where you have got three edges. One edge is with company, the other edge is with employees, the third edge is with customers, right? We've got, it's a typical triangle where you'll find three corners. The first corner, the company, the second corner, the employees, the third corner is customers, right? So typically company make lots of promises. It is called external marketing. The link between company and the customers is called external marketing, where they make the promises. And if you look at the second angle between company and employees, it is called internal marketing, where it is enabling those promises. Employees are the people who is going to enable them, right? So companies should train the employees in such a way that they are ready to deliver or enable the promises. And the third angle at the bottom between employees and the customers is called interactive marketing, where it's called where the promises are delivered by the employees to the customers. If you look at all these three marketings, the crucial term is internal marketing, the relationship between employees and the company. Internal marketing, where you're supposed to enable the promises through the employees. Right here, I'm going to quote one example or a report by Deloitte University Press in 2016 in the Asia Pacific region. Only 31% of companies said they do employee experience surveys, or they're going to measure the employee experience, compared with 81% told they are measuring customer satisfaction at every or at regular intervals. So what is the missing point here? Only 31% companies are measuring the employee satisfaction or their experience. So why this measuring the employee satisfaction or measuring the employee experience is important? Right, I'm going to take you through a small link, right? So just try to understand. If employee is satisfied, then you can retain the employee and the employee productivity will increase. The two major outcomes of employee satisfaction. The first one, employee retention. The second one, employee productivity. These two, employee retention and employee productivity, will lead to a better service value delivery for the customer. I repeat, employee retention and employee productivity will increase the service value delivered to the employee, to the customers. And if employees get better value for the amount that they are paid, definitely they're happy. It's called customer satisfaction. If employees are highly satisfied, right, they can deliver better value, so the customers are happy. And this happiness, right, the customer's happiness will lead to customer loyalty, and customer loyalty will lead for a better revenue growth or for better profitability of the company. See the link. But it started with employee satisfaction, leading to customer satisfaction, which will lead in increasing the revenue as well as increasing the profitability. See the links which are happening here. But that's why employee satisfaction and treating employees as customers is very important. And here I'm quoting words by Sir Richard Branson, the chief of Virgin Group, which is managing more than 400 companies, right? He says, clients do not come first. Employees come first. If you take care of your employees, they will take care of your clients. I repeat the quote. Clients do not come first. Employee come first. If you take care of your employees, they will take care of the clients. That's the philosophy behind the Virgin Group. And same thing is applicable as Dr. Mohan told in the introductory comment, right? Back in 1980s, right? Everybody was talking about Japanese business models, which are highly successful, right? The philosophy behind these Japanese business models is putting employee first. I repeat, putting employee first, right? That's the business model, right? That's the basic philosophy where all the business models of Japan emerged. And this has reaped benefits like increased productivity and satisfied customers. And as you know, right, if your employees are happy, you've got satisfied customers. If customers are happy, they may give you better business, better revenue, and better profitability. So here I'm going to give you, it's not just the companies need to stay competitive, right? Just not retaining employees, right? So companies should inspire. I repeat, companies should inspire employees to commit to the mission of the organization, which is very, very important. I repeat, employees, right, need to stick to the mission of the organization. So companies should inspire the employees to commit themselves for the company's mission. Here I've got 5 different tips for you, right? So the first tip, right, how to treat employees, right? So treating employees as customers, right? The tip 1, ask employees what they want. The first tip, ask employees what they want. Know the insights, right? We have got various surveys which will go and talk about customer experience or customer satisfaction. As I told in the Deloitte University survey, right? There is no proper surveys happening when it comes to the employee, right? The first tip, ask employees what they want. And tip number 2, make it easy for the employees to share their feedback. Make it easy for employees to share their feedback, right? Because nobody is listening, right? And they've got all the blocks in their mind where to express their views. So the second one, make it easy for employees to share their feedback. And tip number 3, be open to discuss pricing. Here, pricing means the pay with your employees, right? Be open for the discussion, right? When it comes to pay, be open, be transparent as much as possible. And tip number 4, train the managers to provide a good service to the employees, because as you are aware, right, many employees leave because of a bad leader or a bad boss. So train your managers, right, to give a very good service for your customers, for your employees. And tip number 5, very, very important, train employees to know how to run their careers, how to plan their careers. That's very important. It's not about planning for the work, right? You should train your employees to give the proper career guidance, right? Give it, right? Invest in people development. They will be more competitive, more proactive, and they'll be more resourceful. Treating of employees that's the same way as you treat your customers will improve the key business outcomes. Like as I told you, it may be on company revenue growth or the profitability. Definitely they will increase, right? And the employee experience, right, also will increase, which will give a better positioning, right? Especially when you want to attract talent, right? As Dr. Mohan is speaking about the best places to work methodology, right? So where, right, the talent, retaining the talent, right? Attracting talent, retaining talent is very important. So treat your employees as customers so that they can deliver better in the future. That's it for me, Mr. Goel.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Prashad, for giving your views. Very, very clear views. And Dr. Prashad says that one has to treat the employees in such a way that they should feel themselves happy, and if they are happy, they will definitely keep the customers happy. So he has given all the views and about the research. He has explained the 5 points, etc., in details. I need not to repeat, but he is very clear that if your employees are happy, then the definitely customers will be happy. Thank you very much, Dr. Prashad, for your views. Now I would like to invite my next panelist guest, and she's Dr. Shalini Agarwal. Dr. Shalini Agarwal is the Associate Professor of Chandigarh University, Mohali. Dr. Agrawal, alumni of IIM Ahmedabad, is an associate professor of finance at Chandigarh University and has about 18 years of industry and teaching experience. She has presented various papers in conferences including IIM Lucknow, IIM Bangalore, IIM Shillong, and IIM Kashipur, and published in Scopus Index and ABDC listed journal. She has authored 2 edited books and delivered guest lectures in various renowned institutes in India. Welcome, Dr. Shani Agrawal, to our show. Dr. Agrawal, you have heard what Professor Mohanlal Agrawal as well as Dr. Prashad has mentioned, and they are very clear. Both of them are very clear that the employee's satisfaction is required. Dr. Agrawal said that if they will be treated as a customer, definitely the customers will be very happy. Although it's not easy to do yet, although now that things are going on. But Dr. Prashad is very clear. He says, keep employees happy. So the retention will be there. And once they are happy, definitely the customers will be happy. Now, we would like to know your views on employees as customers. Dr. Shalini Agrawal, please.
Thank you very much, sir, for giving me the opportunity to speak on this topic. A very good morning to one and all present here and to all the people who are viewing this channel. Even I agree with the same views that Professor Vekta sir and Mohan Agarwal sir says that the employees should be treated as customer. That is very much true. So I would like to start with a quote by a British business magnate, Richard Branson, who talks about clients do not come first, employees come first. If you take care of your employees, they'll take care of your clients. So this is a very famous quote by this Richard Branson, and he believes in this. Moving ahead to Tracy Mellett and Matthew Wright, author of a book entitled In the Employee Experience, How to Attract Talent, Retain Top Performers, and Drive Results. It also highlighted the relation between employee and customer. It says customer experience is an outcome of employee experience. When employees are treated well, listened to, and receive right communication, they in turn provide a rewarding experience to their customers. So, this is by the Tracy Mellett and Matthew Wright. Another customer strategy expert, Susan Carr, she also said, customers are in charge of your destiny. They possess the power to see a company prosper or fail. With that in mind, employers are increasingly realizing that they have two type of customers, internal and external. Please take this in mind. Like now the companies, they have started following that they have two types of customer, that is internal and external. And there is a remarkable similarity between the customer and employees. The more you think about it, the more parallel you uncover. Let's talk about the various point of similarities between the two. Customers enable your company to create revenue. So do your employees by making and selling your product or services and by keeping your operations moving forward smoothly. Another point of similarity is customers spread the word about your company's great product or services. Employees do that. Plus, they can serve as a recruitment advocate, spreading the words about your company as a great place to work. Next point of similarity, customer expect to have personalized interaction with your company. One size fits all doesn't work for the employees either. They want to be heard on an individual basis. Another, without them, that is customer or employees, your company would not exist. So nowadays it is very, very, very important to have the employees as customer, to treat the employees as customer. In fact, your employees qualify for the same cutting edge customer services as your external customer. The next important question here I would like to emphasize is how can you boost your employee experience to keep them happy, energized, and resolute in their desire to remain with your company? So, this is the most important thing. So I'll talk about what are the different ways to make employees as customer. First, I would like to talk about is how trust impacts communication at work. Employees need to believe in the validity of your messaging if you expect them to buy into it. If you want employees to engage with the customers in a way that builds trust and loyalty, those employees must believe and trust in the company's message, vision, and goals first. Communication to customers that is incongruent to what employees see or hear will erode that essentially foundation of trust. So the next point is make internal communication your prime focus. When it comes to internal communication, things like a marketer. What kind of advertisement appeal to the customer? Something informative, compelling, and relatable. The same employees to your employees too. Marketers are rigorous in their advertisement. They use all platforms available to them and different type of content to convey the same message to buy this product in various ways. Apply the same rigorous approach when communicating with employees. Only imagine the product you are selling is your company's mission, vision, and goals. Most importantly, don't be afraid to be creative and shake things up. You want to make employees excited about your company and invested in helping them to accomplish its goals. So these are the points. Another point is use feedback to upgrade your communication at work. This is very important. Feedback. Use the feedback. So companies they control themselves to make it simple for customers to share their thought. Yet employers made it relatively difficult for their employees to even speak up in front of anyone, even without the fear of being reprimanded for saying the wrong things. There are literally very few avenues for employees to share their feedback where they feel they will be heard. In order to make employee centric communication work, employers need to utilize employee feedback in the same way as do their customers. Use survey. The companies should use surveys to ask employees what their concerns are and what they are most interested in knowing about it. Do they want more knowledge about their industry or more opportunities to network with colleagues? Addressing gaps information improves communication at work for both the employers and employees. The last point I would like to talk about in this is take your employees along with. When you're when you take your employees along on the journey of your organization, if that is when you start differentiating. If your employees are fully engaged, they build understanding not only of the products but also of the people and their experience as customers. This knowledge becomes embedded over time and it creates a much richer and more nuanced process around the customer experience. Not only are your employees able to follow a process or explain a product to a customer, but they also know that organization is aiming to achieve through each of these interaction. They have a clear idea of their place in the larger picture and they understand how it will ultimately impact the bottom line. So last, I would like to talk about companies in the world where employees are treated as customers or they are the best places to work in the world. Let's take an example of the company Hilton. This is, we all know that it's a hotel chain that was named the second best place to work in the world in 2019 due to its push to extend its hospitality for all slogan to include frontline employees. All employees have access to the same technology as guests for a seamless experience. Employees can also use a chatbot to ask common questions, even receive training. Next, let's talk about company Apple. Do not write Apple off as a have been. Even after years of leading the technology world, Apple continues to impress. It was named as one of the 50 most innovative companies in 2019 for pushing its processor for faster performance across its devices. Apple has a strong employee experience where all the employees from frontline retail workers to top managers are treated like executives. The respect based culture focused on people over products and creates an environment of engaged and passionate employees doing their best to share the excitement with each customers. Next, let's talk about the another company, that is Airbnb. The awesome new home renting service Airbnb offers free daily organic meals and also provides employees with a 2000 yearly bonus to just travel anywhere in the world. Just imagine this thing, $2000 yearly bonus to just travel anywhere in the world to their employees. Airbnb allows its employees to experience the same journey that its customers experience. This ensures that all of its employees get a chance to truly wear the customer's hat once every year. It certainly gives them a renewed perspective of how it must feel to be an Airbnb customers and who would not want to get a greater experience from the company they work from. Everybody wants that. Next, let's talk about Hyatt hotel chain companies. It not only utilizes empathy to create a better customer experience, but also create a better employee experience. Implementing the housekeeping flexi time program is a perfect example for that, where housekeepers have the option of leaving if they get their work done early or to clean additional rooms to make extra money. Another benefit includes the family assistance leave, which offers a minimum of 8 weeks paid leave to primary caregivers. So these examples definitely tells that nowadays the companies they have started treating the customer as employees, and they're giving much more benefits to their employees, like these companies like Hilton, Apple, Airbnb have. So these are just the example, few of the examples. So in the last, I would like to say, to ensure customers have a great experience, be as rigorous and resourceful on your communication with employees as you are with customers. You can do this by establishing trust in your communication and work, strategizing your internal communication, and using feedback to make improvements. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you very much, Dr. Shalini Agarwal, for giving the views. And Dr. Shalini Agarwal started with the quotes of Richard Branson of Virgin Group, and in the end she mentioned about the companies who have given the best services. Fortunately, I have my personal experience with Virgin Group's airline, which they are operating, their exclusive clubs in UK, their restaurant in UK, as well as the train they are running in UK. So I found there definitely the services as exemplary, very, very good. She mentioned about the Hilton, yes, above par services. Apple, everybody knows, so no need to say, because if you have any problem, just go to the Apple store without asking anything. Many times they replace the entire set, even it was your fault, but they never question like in India for other products. Airbnb, yes, it's although Airbnb, I will say that it's a technology is more there in front in state, but still their Airbnb service is far better, because customer feels that whatsoever he's doing and he's giving his opinion or her opinion, that is always taken care. And the Hyatt, I recently, Professor Mohanlal Agarwal knows that I stayed at Hyatt only in Dubai recently when I stayed. Their services was really exemplarily very, very good. So thank you very much, Dr. Shalini Agarwal, for giving your views. Now, before I will move to my last panelist, I would like to take Professor Mohanlal Agarwal again, because I think he has to leave. Professor Agarwal, are you there? Professor Mohanlal Agarwal, are you there? Or I think he is not there. He's not. Okay, fine. So I would like to invite my next panelist guest, because Professor Mohanlal Agarwal told me that he's leaving at 11:30 and 11:19. So I thought let me ask some question to him. But anyway, now I invite my next panelist guest, and he's Dr. Tausif Jia Siddiqui. Dr. Tausif Jia Siddiqui is PhD, is the Director of Sustenance Research, Doha, Qatar. He's intrapreneur by day and entrepreneur by night. Dr. Tausif wear various hats in his professional life, from climate activist, innovative, transformational, sustainability leader, visiting professor, mentor, and SDGs SME. He has worked with Vedanta Resources, Maruti Suzuki, Morgan Stanley, Alcoa, Sabic, and with multiple startups to achieve significant growth in the marketplace. As a sustainability and people leader, he has a unique blend of knowledge and focus on planet, people, process, and platform in that order. Welcome, Dr. Tausif Jia Siddiqui on our show. Dr. Siddiqui, you have heard Professor Mohanlal Agrawal, Dr. Prasad, as well as Dr. Agrawal, and all have advocated very strongly about the for the employee that everyone has to give employee as a customer, treat them as a customer. Now we would like to know from you, because you yourself is an entrepreneur by day and entrepreneur by night, your experience about this and employees as customers. Dr. Tausif Jia Siddiqui, please.
Thanks a lot, Dr. Goel, and special thanks to Professor Mohan for inviting me in this amazing session with the excellent presentation from Professor Mohan, Professor Krishna Prasad, and Professor Shalini. So what I will bring to the table is my industry perspective, one-on-one working for last 15 years with these multinationals, as well as for last 3 years, how startups are evolving. And especially my wife is running, she's Professor Anna, she's running a startup, and how she's taking care of the employees. And I was in Japan, I'll give you a real life example, how Japanese have achieved excellence. Like Professor Krishna mentioned that also. And I was surprised after Second World War, what happens to them, everyone was down and out. The king called the best of the companies that were there, and they had a marathon session brainstorming. And what they find out, the only way to come up again is to engage employees, is to be at the heart of it. And how they did it, I'll tell you, we visited Sony, Toyota in Yokohama. It was a different experience altogether. And when I asked them some of the very intriguing questions, what makes you engage? What is this lifetime employment concept? And I was surprised. And they were so passionate about, it's not about the companies, it's about the country. So it comes from inside out. When I talk about how can we inspire our employees towards our vision, because we need to understand we as employees, as human beings, are more emotional. We are more psychological. We are not rational as much as that thing. So we need to understand our vision, our mission, our values as companies needs to submerge, needs to align with employees' vision, mission, and values. And that's how we succeed. And that's what Japanese have done exceedingly well in 1980s, 1990s. If you ask them, like I was talking to a professor at Osaka State University, and he mentioned the way we invest, you cannot imagine, Dr. Tausif. It's beyond comprehension. When we find we have dinosaurs, he mentioned to me this word, the employees who are neither committed towards the company and neither they have technical competencies. They call them as dinosaurs. They will not take them out. No. They say it's in the Western world. What we do, we invest in their training. We try to identify the 5 whys, why they are dinosaurs. Can we make them rats on wheel? Can we make them stars? Because they make up around 15 to 20% of the workforce. Everyone is not a star. So let's start my session with Vedanta Resources. I worked there around 3.5 years, one of the best companies to work. And I was part of their business excellence teams. Like we apply for Great Places of Work Award, CII Award, Golden Peacock, you name it. And the best part, what I found is, apart from the excellent working condition, the way they diversified, like 30 to 40% women employees at the shop floor. Can you imagine? I am talking about aluminum zinc smelters, and 40% of the workforce are young women from our villages and from our towns. And what they invited them is ESOPs, employee stock options. Like I had around 1,000 shares. I was a young graduate from IIT Dhanbad. I joined it, and within 3 years, and what kind of growth path are we monitoring? Like Professor Shalini mentioned Hilton. I was talking to an employee of Hilton as well as Four Seasons. And I asked them, how many years you spend here? He said around 10 years, 15 years. I said, you're not planning to change? He said, my boss never asked me, do this, do this, do this. They said, how are you at the end of the day? Are you happy? And the complimentary meal at the end of the day. These are small things that really makes the difference. And I 100% agree. Hilton, Sheraton, Four Seasons, they have taken employee satisfaction at a different level altogether. Let's come back to our companies. What Professor Mohan and Professor Prasad also mentioned, Tata's. I was the examiner from Ramkrishnan Bajaj Awards. It's a business excellence award. And one of the core messages is how you treat your employees. Because if you ask any bottom line worker, I was in Tata Steel, Jamshedpur, and if you ask any production manager, the bottom line from them is production. The bottom line for them is more profitability. Forget about people. But what he mentioned, I still remember, and he was trained by Mr. Irani. Like many of them don't know, like Irani was the one who was about to succeed Ratan Tata. And he said, Tausif, he trained me. And what he mentioned, people are really the key for us. And one of the slogans they put in the township is, we also produce steel. And that was so much and we went there in the mines areas. And what we find, when the employee come out in the evening from the underground mine, they have open cast mines, underground mines. And what we find out, we find the employee's family, the kids were using computer. I'm talking about 2006, 2007. Just imagine 16 years back, when the employee came up, he find his families in the park. They are enjoying as get together. And then kids were using computers. And some of them now, after like almost 10 years, some of them I was in touch. One is in Apple, one is in Adobe, and they have ensured that the employees' kids have been taken care. And especially during COVID, again, I didn't work with Tata, but I was examiner for them 3 to 4 years because of the sustainability initiatives they were taking. Whoever died during the COVID, till the age of 60, you will get the same salary. Plus education has been taken care. Can you imagine? It's not about taking care of the employees just by saying, it's about how much you are investing as well. Let's move on to my second company after Vedanta. As I said, one of the best employers in terms of diversity, employee stock option, best in colonies, what we have in Lanjigarh as well as in Udaipur, Maruti Suzuki. And I was talking to the HR head. His name is also Siddiqui, S.Y. Siddiqui. And what he mentioned, how we take care of our employees by investing heavily in their shop floor training, in the machine shops, in the paint shop. We give them, like when I joined, they gave me the Maruti car. Just a young graduate, how can you, it's a different ball game altogether. Now come back to Morgan Stanley. What kind of options? We were allowed to go just 2 days in office in Mumbai. 5 days or 3 days you work from home. I'm talking in 2010, 2011. The productivity is measured by your KPIs. Can in Indian culture, and it's now evolving, how can we work on key performance indicators? Can we have that luxury? Because someone mentioned, or maybe Professor Shalini or Professor Prasad mentioned, employees don't leave because of the companies. They leave because of the bad bosses, because of the toxic culture that we have. 90%, like the Gallup survey, they find 80 to 90% of the employees left because of the immediate bosses. How can we transform ourselves as employers, or as someone mentioned, and it has evolved a lot, what Professor Mohan has also mentioned. Employees are now the backbone. It's not only Japanese or the European culture. Even in Indian culture, I gave you examples of Vedanta, Tata's. You take the example of Airbnb. Oyo. I was talking to one of the CXOs of Oyo Corporation. They were planning to invest in Middle East. And he said, for us, it's not the customers, it's the employees' experience that matters. So these are the things, how can we, because everyone is not a star, we need to understand that. And pupil, money is important, yes. It is, for sure, it is like next to oxygen. But at a particular level, it doesn't matter how much bonuses you are getting, how much incentives you are getting. What really matters to them is how much engaged they are, what kind of value they bring to the table. And that's what I have seen in SABIC. I worked there like maximum of my time, 5 years, and some of our shareholders were ExxonMobil, Chevron, oil and gas companies. SABIC never asked when you come in, when you go out of the office. What our managers ask, Tosi, this assignment is in track. Do you need any other support? How can I help you? Let's have a feast. Let's have a lunch together in the team. So how can we evolve? It all depends, because see, India is going to be the biggest growth market in next 10 years. No one can deny that. We have that workforce. So what really differentiates that? How we innovate in the people aspects. And innovating in people aspects is not a joke. It's a hard nut to crack, because you need to invest in the employees, whether they are dinosaurs or rats on wheel. Why I'm talking about rats on wheel? Because you will find in any organization, and that's what I learned in Japan, 50 to 60% of the employees are rats on wheel. You cannot make them stars in one day. Stars are hardly 10 to 15%. So how can we invest in skill building? And when I say skill building, it's not only the technical aspects. Unfortunately, as an industry perspective, what I have seen, people only focus upon the technicalities. No. Mechanics is important. Yes, as if I'm going to hire a new employee, I'm looking for his technical background. But what I'm looking for is the dynamic skills, the psychological skills, how much self-belief he has, what kind of self-management he has, how he's going to solve my problems. How can he be innovative? We need employees who can work together. Like I was doing a workshop with IIT Kanpur and ISM Dhanbad and some other central universities. And I find the management graduates are not willing to work together. How can you work in a team when you are not willing to work as students? This was surprising. And I was talking to professors. Can we do some team building exercises with them? So yes, as I mentioned earlier as well, and now comes to the startup. I have given you example for Morgan Stanley, Tata's, Vedanta, Maruti Suzuki. Startups, and I can give example of my wife. When she arranges a conference or a webinar or she talks to them, she gives them some pizzas, ordering pizzas from Domino's at the end of the session, or giving them some gifts like watch or something else, asking them about their parents, especially during the COVID times. Can we bring some pulse meters, some COVID kits? These are small gestures. But what I have seen, we were able to retain the employees. They are emotionally attached. And that's what really makes the difference. It's not about the 360-degree feedback, because at the end of the day, customer satisfaction surveys, employee satisfaction surveys are important, yes. But what is more important is the inner self. How can we engage our employees emotionally? And if you will be able to have that buy-in emotionally, I can promise you the youngsters, especially in India, has got the zeal. And how can the most important thing, all of this, what we are talking about is building the character ethics. What I have seen in new employees, especially in industry, we need them to be self-belief and character building. For me, in next 10-15 years, if India has to transform as a knowledge economy or as a pupil building, like the new education policy talks about all skill building. And employers, like I'm very passionate about like the growth story of India, because we are competing with China, we are competing with other South Asian countries. But what really differentiates is our new workforce passion towards works. We are really willing to do something. And that's what differentiates us. So yes, Dr. Goel, as I said, I'm sharing more the industry perspective. How the new workforce is going to adapt to the challenges. And COVID is just for the time being. When I'm talking to students or professors, like last week, I was talking to some HR professionals. And what I've seen, We have faith, we have belief, we have hope. What we need is a skilled workforce. That is the message. So that's it. I'm open for any questions.
Thank you very much, Mr. Tausif Siddiqui, for giving your Dr. Tausif Siddiqui for giving your views. He mentioned about Japan. I visited Japan somewhere in 1985-86, and I visited the companies, the culture. What I found, the employees, they provide everything for their employees, and employee doesn't want to go home. The food, the everything is inbuilt there. So I asked them, this is our employees wants to stay here only. They are working, but they are very particular. They do not want them to work overtime, but the employees are devoted. But one thing I differ about OYO, because OYO, what they have done, initially they have treated their employees very nicely in India, but when they check them out, what they used to do, they immediately change their password, and the employee who was dealing with those hotels and others, and they are nowhere. And they say, sorry, our company has made our life very miserable. So that type of thing, that's why the OYO is facing lots of criminal cases now, although they are planning to come out with a public IPO. This is the time for IPO. That is a separate thing. But this is the difference between the culture there and here. Thank you very much, Dr. Siddiqui. Now I can see Professor Mohanlal Agarwal has come back. I wanted to take you earlier, but you were not there at that time. Anyway, Professor Agarwal, my question.
My apologies. I was here listening, but I was not visual.
Okay. Now my question to you is, everybody spoke about that how we must keep our employees happy. If the employee is happy, the customer will be happy. You gave example of Indian Airlines. And at that time, when the jet and others have started. And in India, especially in government service or PSUs, the employees are very happy. They all want to go to the government services because they are getting very good pay, fat pay, plus relaxation, everything or whatsoever, but they are very happy. And they have no problem or no tension for future life. But the services, what they are giving to the customer is horrible. Whether it's a bank, municipality, name anywhere, hospitals. No, but it means what we are talking today is only for startups in the private sector, not applicable to the government in India. But in other countries, I think it is not like that. There, even if you have seen the customs or the border securities anywhere in the USA or UK, even in UAE, so customers friendly. Now my question to you is, why this difference is there in India?
That's true, and thank you very much, because this is one of the questions or question marks about the things that we have heard, that satisfied employees will automatically bring satisfied customers. And I'm so very happy, because you are always insightful and reaching the point first. I believe that in concept, this particular thing is still true, that satisfied employees will lead to satisfied customer, better customer service, and also better customer experience. Without doubt, that kind of chain and links are understood. The only thing that is missing here is the context. The context is that in most other examples and other markets, it is a market economy in which they are working. In our country, we either have the predominance of public sector, or we have what is known as mixed sector, joint sector. We have private and public, both are putting hands together. So sometimes they also call it mixed up sector, because nobody is knowing exactly what to do and all. So in the case of Air India and Indian Airlines or many other PSUs, the example is not working out because of the situation in which they are. And as a result, what happens is that we are not able to gain the relationship that we have postulated or agreed that this will happen. So I would say one little change, which is important, will not lead to the big change, which is very, very important. But that is still the beginning. In other words, that we cannot reach that point anyway if we do not take care of our employees. You have to forgive me, sir. I have to bow
Yeah.
out.
Yes,
And I
yes,
have
I
to
know,
back
Professor
out.
Agrawal. Thank you very much.
Yeah,
Only
thank
I
you
will
very
add
much.
one thing
Thank you.
which I observe in government and PSU employees. There is a proverb: power corrupts. Absolute power corrupts. Absolutely, the government employee feels that they have the absolute power, whether they are IAS, IF, any position, and that's why they treat their customers, all the public at large, in a very, very bad way. Thank you very much, Professor Agrawal. I know that you have to go.
Thank you
Thank you
very
very
much. Thank you, Tausif.
much.
Thank you, CB. Thank you, Shalini.
Thank you.
I'll get in touch with you
Yeah,
later.
yeah.
Okay. Enjoy the
Okay.
rest of the
Thank
show.
you,
Thank
sir.
you very much.
Thank
Now
you,
I would
sir.
like to
Thank you so
invite,
much.
I would like to ask the question
Yes.
to
Bye. Bye. Bye.
next
Yeah. Thank you.
our panelist, and he is Dr. Prashad. Dr. Prashad, my question to you is, what is common between employees and customers? Why we are talking that give more to the employees, but there is nothing common in employees and a customer. Then what is the common factor in employees and customers according to you? So please unmute. Please unmute.
So thanks for the question, Professor Lal. Right. So typically customers are called external customers and employees are called internal customers. So there are many similarities between these two parties, whether it is external customer or internal customer, right? So customers want some value addition from your company, right? So when they buy certain services or product, right, they want that value addition. Similarly, as an employee, if you're working for a company, right, you want that value addition, right? So whatever, I mean, your contribution, right? So in terms of skills, in terms of knowledge, in terms of your work, right? They want something in return, right? Value added return, right? It is like 1 + 1, right? A simple equation. Whether it's a customer or a internal customer or external customer, right? So they go with simple equation, right? They are very, very similar point between internal customers and as external customer, right? So as an employee, right? So I expect, right, a good working conditions, right? As a customer, you expect good products. As a customer, you expect good salary. Sorry, as an employee, you expect good salary, right? As a customer, you expect a good value for your money. There are various similarities, right? So when they want to make choices, or when they want to raise voice, or when they want to take any actions, many of them are got similar equations, right, with the company.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Prashad.
Sorry to interrupt. Can I Can I add some more points to it?
Yeah, but I will ask a question to you, and then you can add there. My question to you is, why treat employees as customer when they don't pay? Customer is paying, employee is not paying. Then why you are treating the employee as a customer? Because there is a difference, that because the customer is paying, employee is not paying. And now you can add also, Dr. Shanli.
Okay, so when you are making so there are two types of customers nowadays. The companies, they have started believing in it, and the two types of customer is, one is internal customer and external customers. So what the organizations they are doing right now is they are treating the internal they are treating the employees as the internal customers. So how do they help you? That is the most important question. So sir, let me tell you, like, without the employees you cannot sell your product, right? And if they're happy, they will treat your customers, they'll keep your customers happy. They will tell the positive things, like, let me give you one example. Like, I am a professor, so if my university keeps me happy, I'll speak good about the college university. But if they will not keep me happy, I will talk negative about it. So this is the major, because we, the employees, are in the
I
people
will just
who,
stop you here, Dr. Shanli Agrawal. First of all, your university is a private university or is a government university?
it's a private university.
Private university. I'm sure that if you see the government university, their pay scales are far more. They are
Yeah, definitely,
giving
I agree with
every
that.
facility whatsoever.
Yes.
And they're not happy. Why they are not talking positively? The conditions in government universities, what is the condition today and what is the difference between your university and their university?
Sir,
You there
actually,
also.
they do not realize the value of it. Actually, the problem is they do not realize the value of
Oh,
it,
who
the
is not
things that
realizing?
we are, the government employees. See, they do not realize unless and until
They
they will
are
not
among us
work.
only. Today
So
you are
I do
working here,
understand.
tomorrow
Yeah,
you
I
may
tell
be.
you, I'll give you one example of the thing. There is a friend of mine. She was working as a teacher in one of the. She was working as teacher in one of the schools, and she called me up one day. I said, "What are you doing?" I asked my friend, "What are you doing?" She said, "I'm in the class," and she's calling me. Sis, just understand the liberty that she has, and they don't realize because
So
they have already.
now my question again to you is, if
Yeah,
it is like this, why they are not realizing it? Either they lack of training of
yeah,
them. That
yes.
might be the reason. Because if they see their salary scale is far more, they have accommodation, free accommodation, they have everything. They are sure for their till the retirement. They are not
So
going after
actually, so actually, they're getting everything in a very easy manner, and they are not realizing the hard efforts that we put in. So we are working throughout the day till night, even 12. We are bound to work, and we
So,
know the value of it. So
I will,
maybe,
I got your point. It means if you are giving the things easily to the
yeah,
employee will not treat you proper, the employee will not treat the customers properly.
realize
You mean
the
to say
value of
like
it.
this?
Yeah, yes, sir, yes, sir.
But what Mr. Tausif was mentioning about, I mean, you also mentioned about Hilton and all those companies. They treat the very nicely the employees. They give everything. Like Mr. Tausif says, he got the Maruti car as soon as he joined. Now, how many are getting these types of facilities? But people are doing lots of good things. But I personally feel, I'm sure you are experts, so you know better, that the lack of training from the very
Yeah,
beginning, and what now we say is EQ, and EQ not only the emotional quotient. I think now it should be the ethical things more, which is lacking. But one thing is very clear: today you are in private organization, tomorrow if you join government, you will get a chance, your attitude will be also the same. It will change. You means I'm not talking about you, because if you will
I
not change the
understand.
attitude, the other employees of government organization will force you to change, because otherwise you will be misfit in that organization. I have seen how the Jet Airways people were giving the best services, or the Virgin people were giving the best service. Even Kingfisher was giving the best services, and how was the Indian Airlines? Thank you very much, Dr. Shalini. I will come back to you again. My question goes to Dr. Tausif. Dr. Tausif, there are different types of employees in a corporate. Should all employees be treated as customer? Why I'm saying is, there are employees who are dealing with the customers, marketing, this and that, and there are somebody is producing, somebody is a watchman, somebody is a peon, who are not dealing with customers, so saying that okay, my product is very good. He's not having knowledge about what the company is doing. So do you think all employees to be treated as customer, or only those who are like a golden egg laying hen?
No, no. So thanks a lot for the absorbing discussions. And my answer is we have to treat all employees. The only difference is the impact or the training that we need to give to the front line who are dealing directly with the external customers. I'll give you a very real example. In Sabik, like my previous employer, I took the picture. I don't know whether I can share or not. I took it with the security guard because for me, he was the star. And I asked Abu Muhammad, his name was Abu Muhammad, he always smiled. When I enter the gate of the plant, he's smiling. When I come out for the lunch or something, he's always smiling. The way he wears his badges and everything. I ask him, like, you don't have to do that. You can sit inside there is a button, you can open everything. He said, no, sir, like, I love my job. And you will be surprised, he got the CEO award. We have 35,000 employees. The security person, one of the affiliates, we have around 15 affiliate across the world. In India also, we have 1,000 employees. Can you imagine? So yes, as you mentioned, it's like a chain reaction. even the sweeper, I heard somewhere, especially in Japan or in Hong Kong, a person asked what you are doing. He said, I'm trying to be the best in my job. I'm just sweeping, but it's like I'm adding value to the organization. So that kind of mindset we need to cultivate. And I agree with what Dr. Shalini said, private sector education, because I'm doing some maturity assessment for private sector. How can they achieve excellence? And what I find for them, bottom line is how to be more profitable, how to squeeze as much as possible. Really, that's a mindset. I'll totally and in the public sector, we breed mediocrity. It's not about excellence because they know everything is so easy. I have done the educational assessment for, I cannot name it because as an examiner, it's a confidential thing. But what I find, there are so much cost of poor quality lies in the public sector educational institutions. As you said, it's the leader's job. It comes from the top. You cannot expect the professors or the technicians to do something, whether it's IITs or IIMs. So yes, it's ever evolving. You have chosen a.
Thank you very much, Dr. Tausif. Now, in the last round, I would like you to give one minute your message to the youth or those who are going to be the future of the country, entrepreneur, or who are going to start the business, and they are definitely going to have the employees in their organization. What message you would like to give, Dr. Prashad, please?
So first and foremost, right? So empowering yourself is very, very important, right? Be it in terms of your skills, knowledge, and attitude. You should empower, right? You should empower yourself, right? Have that attitude towards job, right? And for the leaders, you need to inspire people, right? So what's the difference between a private institution and a government institution? I'm talking about in all aspects, right? Be it education, be it IT, be it railways, be it anywhere, right? Inspiring people is the one which is missing in many of the institutions. Be it a private organization or a government organization, even NGOs. As leaders, you should inspire people, right? Empower them. And as individuals, as employees, as volunteers, we need to empower ourselves with required skills, knowledge, and attitude.
Okay.
That's my final word.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Dr. Prashad. Dr. Shalini, your message to the youth.
The question is to the entrepreneurs who are going to start their business and how they should treat their employees. So my answer to this is they should treat them like a human beings, not nowadays in the teaching institutions. If I talk about, it's not about all the private institutes. I would like to say they are we have to work 24/7. So it should be a little with no holidays and nothing, and we should be treated like human beings at least, and it should not be
robot.
Robots. Yeah.
Okay.
We have become so mechanical in our life, we do not have the time to sit and relax with the family. So this part is very much missing.
Okay. Thank you very much. First of time. Yeah, Dr. Tausif, your comment, please. Last message.
So my point to the youngsters is, forget about the job aspects. It's bound to come, or how much salary you will get. Focus on your skill building. Focus on your, as someone said, Professor Prasad said, how can you inspire others? How can you solve the pressing problems? What kind of value you can bring in the future to the employers? And if you are at that level, there is no paucity of jobs or getting employed. I can promise you that. It's never the problem with, absolutely.
Okay, thank you very much. So viewers, you have seen today that those companies, those corporates who are treating their employees as customers, they are very, very successful. And that's why, because the customers are very much satisfied. If you want your customers to be satisfied, you have to see to it that your employees should be very satisfied. And as Dr. Shalini mentioned, treat the employees as a human. Don't treat them somewhere like robot. After all, they are also human being. And one thing is very clear, don't give them something very free. if everything easy, what we have seen in India, the government or PSUs organizations, if everything they feel that it's coming on platter, their attitude changes. And training is required, leadership qualities required, all these things are required. But one thing is very clear, time is changing. The new startups have to treat their employees as customer, then only they will be successful, like Airbnb or any other company one can mention, like Apple and others. Thank you very much. And today's program has been live telecasted by V4 News, Karu News, V4 Stream, Malnadu TV India, News Gaon se, Samvad Sarokar News, Bharat Post News, as well as was shown live on Facebook and YouTube. And in our endeavor to bring to you every day new topic in media conference with Lal Goel at 10:30 a.m. Tomorrow our topic is booster dose versus precautionary dose. As you might be knowing that in other countries, it is called booster dose, while in India, it is a precautionary dose. What is the difference? And our panelists are Dr. Dilip Singhvi, a specialist of internal medicine and diabetes, medical director, Apollo Hospital, Muscat. Dr. Brahm Prakash, former medical superintendent, All India Institute Medical Sciences, Rishikesh. Dr. Rashmi Kundapur, additional professor, Department of Community and Family Medicine, All India Institute of Medical Sciences, Hyderabad. Dr. Kapil Rathi, medical director and consultant, My Health Clinics, Mumbai. So please tune in tomorrow for booster dose versus precautionary dose in media conference with Lal Goel at 10:30 a.m. Thank you very much, Dr. C.B. Venkat Krishna Prasad. Thank you very much, Dr. Shalini Agrawal. Thank you very much, Dr. Tausif Jia Siddiqui. And thank you very much, Professor Mohanlal Agrawal, who is not there right now, for giving very, very enlightened views. And I'm sure today's program is very enlightening for all the youth and all those who are either in business or those who are planning to start the startups, that if you want to be a successful businessman, and if your company is going to grow and have more and more satisfied customer, please treat your